Hey folks, I wanted to make a quick video about something that I read earlier today. It was a news story that broke about a particular Roman emperor. And before I get into that, I wanted to say I'm happy to be back. I haven't made a video in a very long time. I'm trying to find content to make, but this kind of jogged my thinking a little bit. I thought it was an interesting topic to talk about. Most of my content is about the Viking Age. This is going to be about the Roman Empire, specifically the Roman Emperor Elagabulus. And it's an interesting figure because he was controversial back in the day for a number of reasons. We'll get into that. And he was a member of the Severan dynasty. So Septimius Severus was his predecessor through, I think, his mother's line of lineage, or I forget exactly what. The Emperor Caracalla and Geta were his relatives as well, so pretty prominent Roman dynasty. But today's topic was about this article that came out. It's on BBC, a couple other art news blogs and publications about Elagabulus' gender, specifically a UK museum reclassified Elagabulus as a transgender woman, which Elagabulus was controversial, like I said, partially because of a number of scandals during Elagabulus's reign. One of those being that they remarried, or he remarried a number of times, and quite notably, his or her last marriage was to a man, which controversial at the time. But not only that, but Elagabulus then labeled themselves as his spouse's wife, right? So she at this point took on that gender label, that she was now a woman, that she was taking on that role, and sort of adopted that as part of their identity, or her identity. I'm really trying not to misgender so hard, but this is very kind of difficult to apply, I think. I'm doing my best here. But so it's kind of, I thought was really interesting. Elagabulus, again, the historical context around who they were, was an emperor that was, I think, from somewhere in North Africa or Syria, and was responsible in part for introducing new types of iconography and a new cult to the Roman pantheon as well. Specifically the cult of Sol Invictus, or the Inconquerable Sun, I believe, and that was introduced by Elagabulus. What did not really take on until a couple emperors later. We start seeing it on things like coinage, and it's kind of noted by this sort of radiant crown. If you ever see the Roman coins, some of them wear a wreath, some of them they don't have any kind of decorative pieces on their heads. But from, I'd say, a couple emperors after Elagabulus's reign, you start seeing emperors wearing this sort of radiant crown on things like coinage. And that was sort of introduced with Elagabulus. So I just thought it was a really interesting topic. And it's literally just came out. I saw it, checking right now. The article was published, just today on the 21st. And specifically, it was North Hertfordshire Museum. Excuse me, I'm not from Britain, as you can probably tell, and I don't really know how to pronounce that. But that museum was the museum that decided to officially recognize Elagabulus as a trans woman instead of as a male, like traditionally most, or I think every historical institution or museum referred to him or her as. So, aside from how this is relevant in the modern day and how we still have conversations around gender identity naturally, I thought this was a really important discussion because of the fact that it sort of illuminates an aspect of, in sort of an unexpected way, an aspect of trans history that I feel like it's overlooked oftentimes. I don't have much exposure or experience to that kind of field. I study the medieval period, and particularly the early medieval period, the Viking Age. Like that's more so my forte. So this kind of time period and this kind of subject matter is not super familiar to me. But either way, I thought it was interesting, and I wanted to share with you guys because it was literally hot off the presses. So, what do you guys think? I can imagine you'd have a variety of opinions. My thought is, I think it's not just pandering and modern, kind of, ascribing modern labels to historical figures. I think partially because of the fact that there's evidence that it was a senator who was contemporary to Elagabulus that wrote in one of his chronicles, according to this BBC article, that Cassius Dio writes that the emperor was termed wife, mistress, and queen. Right? So it doesn't seem like it was something that was unintentional, or it seems like something that was done more deliberately, and that's my understanding as well of this historical events. So if Elagabulus themselves labeled themselves a woman and carried that identity forward, then that's obviously has nothing so much to do with our modern understandings of the term and gender roles. So I don't think this museum is just pandering. I think there's precedent, and there's always been discussion around this particular topic. But I think it's kind of crazy how this figure was already controversial from the moment Elagabulus took the mantle as emperor or empress now, to even to today. So it's pretty insane. More broadly, I like to talk about this kind of stuff because it just shows how relevant history and historical discussions still are, and how we're constantly reinterpreting things from the past. You see this a lot in the Middle Ages as new evidence gets uncovered. You see this a lot with things like treasure hoards being discovered. That's all over England during the Viking Age. This Viking treasure that was buried and rediscovered. That we re-examine the evidence, and re-examine our conclusions and interpretations, and that way we have a deeper understanding of the time period. I feel like this is another aspect of that. So, I wanted to make this a quick video. I've been joining on for a little while now, but if you've stuck around this long, thank you. And on a side note, start making more content again because I had a lot of fun doing that. I am going to pivot a little bit away from just the Viking Age and from doing AI generated art. One of the reasons why I stopped doing that was because I got burnt out. I was working full time, and those videos took a lot longer to make than some of you might realize. So I was kind of on the fence towards the end of my last string of videos whether I should keep doing the AI art thing or not. I decided to leave that behind me just because that's another kind of hurdle. I know it's kind of part of the identity of the page, and I thought it was really cool. It's an extremely fun experiment, and AI art specifically has gotten so much more advanced since I stopped, which is kind of crazy. I've seen some of the stuff coming out, and it's really, really insane. But yeah, I think hopefully I'm back for the long term. Definitely want to make more content. I also want to branch out a little bit more. So from the Viking Age, I did study a lot of this time period as well. What I call late antiquity, from about the 2nd century to about the 5th century. So I wanted to touch a little bit on that as well, and kind of look a little bit more outside of just Northern Europe. That has been my kind of comfort zone for a long time. So I'm looking forward to learning more. I'm looking forward to posting more and having a lot more discussions. So thank you, and looking forward to doing more of this, and catch you in the next video.